The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning here at 5 a.m. Thanks for waking up with us. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher.
We begin this morning with your 17 homicide tracker and the first deadly shootings of 2022. The latest killing happening just after 2:30 yesterday afternoon on Miller and Oregon Streets in East Bakersfield. Police say that's where the officers found a man had been shot several times. Medical aid was provided, but the victim died before he could be taken to the hospital. Police say there is no suspect information at this time.
Detectives are also investigating a homicide in South Bakersfield. BPD says officers were called to Coventry Drive near Agate Street at about 7:30 yesterday morning for a report of a shooting. When emergency crews arrived, they found a man who'd been shot. First responders rushed him to a hospital where he later died. If you know anything about either of these homicides, you're encouraged to call Bakersfield Police at 327-7111, or you can call the Kern Secret Witness line at 322-4040.
Quick thinking and brave officers in Los Angeles saved a man's life after a small plane went down in the path of an oncoming train. Take a look at this incredible video.
Go, 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 go!
It sure is chilling. This video released by the LA Police Department. This man's plane went down and came to a stop on the railroad tracks just as the train was barreling toward him. Officers reached in and pulled the man from the wreckage mere seconds, as you saw, before the train smashed into the downed plane. First responders from the LA Fire Department transported the pilot to a regional trauma center. His condition is unclear this morning. The Federal Aviation Administration confirmed the pilot was the only person on board that aircraft.
Making headlines around the nation, actor and comedian Bob Saget has died. According to the Orange County Sheriff, he was found unresponsive in his hotel room at the Ritz-Carlton in the Orlando area. Authorities say they saw no signs of foul play or drug use in this case. Saget was best known for his role in the sitcom Full House. The performer was also known as a comedian's comedian. He could play a wholesome father in a television series and still maintain a presence on the stand-up circuit using dark and epithet-laden material. Former co-stars are reacting to the sudden loss. John Stamos last night tweeting out, "I am broken. I am gutted. I am complete and utter shock. I will never ever have another friend like him. I love you so much, Bobby." Saget was 65 years old.
Meantime, at least 19 people have died in an apartment building fire in New York. The 5-alarm fire started just before noon yesterday on the 3rd floor of a 19-story high-rise building in the Bronx. At least 10 adults and 9 children did not escape the flames. According to authorities, more than 60 people are hurt. Several of them are fighting for their lives this morning. Nearly 200 firefighters responded to the scene of the blaze yesterday. 19 people were treated at the scene. All others were taken to the hospital.
The FDNY rescue people, bring people out, resuscitate people, doing CPR, everything. It was just, it was real crazy, real sad and crazy.
I see kids crying for help, and at that point we couldn't do anything.
Officials say preliminary reports point to a malfunctioning space heater as the cause of this blaze.
Your time now is 5:04. Across the country, the COVID winter surge is punishing businesses, with more and more workers testing positive while families deal with school closures. And hospitals are struggling to keep up, with many healthcare workers sidelined.
But growing data about how COVID hospitalizations are counted is raising new questions about the Omicron's variant severity. NBC's Alice Barr reports from Washington.
Good morning, Alex and Maddie. Though we're seeing record COVID hospitalizations, many of the people counted as COVID hospitalized are actually being treated for other conditions, prompting calls to clarify the numbers, though the impact of Omicron is undeniable. This morning, as the nation surpasses 60 million COVID cases, the lightning-fast spread of the Omicron variant is wreaking havoc on the nation's businesses and schools, with staff shortages forcing a return to remote learning.
We don't know what next week's going to hold anymore.
Sickouts making cities like Portland, Atlanta, and Washington, D.C. cut back on public transportation routes in a hit to the broader economy.
All parts of the economy rely on that transportation network to get us to work, to get us to school.
And just as COVID is slamming hospitals, the virus is sidelining frontline workers. Now in California, healthcare workers who test positive and are asymptomatic may return to work immediately without isolation and without testing.
It's putting our patients and ourselves in grave danger.
Confusion over the CDC's isolation guidelines only adding to the stress.
This is hard. We have ever-evolving science with an ever-evolving variant.
And now the CDC under pressure over how to tally COVID hospitalizations. Right now, anyone at the hospital who ends up testing positive is counted. Recent numbers in cities like New York show just over half of those counted as hospitalized with COVID were there for something else, even a broken bone, potentially skewing the picture of Omicron's severity, though doctors stress the unvaccinated remain at high risk. The data for children appears to be following the same pattern. One San Francisco area hospital system says out of 19 kids counted as COVID hospitalized, just 6 were admitted for COVID illness. Now doctors want the CDC to specify how patients who test positive should actually be counted. In Washington, Alice Barr, 17 News.
And out of the pandemic here in Kern County, a startling increase in COVID-19 cases as we learned Friday of more than 1,500 new infections and 9 new deaths. The virus is spreading more now than at any point during the Delta surge, and we haven't seen community transmission like this in a year. Hospitalizations are also increasing, with 167 people in the hospital locally with the virus, another 31 in the ICU. Here's a look back at the past week. Public Health learned the virus has stolen 13 more lives. We also learned an average of 1,289 more people caught the virus each day. An average of 141 were hospitalized daily, while an average of 32 more were in local ICUs.
In your 17 Crime Watch this morning, an 82-year-old man was arrested yesterday after allegedly shooting at one of his neighbors and setting off an explosive device. BPD says Gerald Lowermore fired several gunshots at one of his neighbors yesterday in North Bakersfield. He is also accused of firing more shots from the side yard of his home, heading inside his home, setting off several explosives, then firing a gun again. Officers say they saw smoke coming from the home on K and 38th Streets just after the explosions. Lowermore was taken into custody without incident.
In your 17 Court Watch now, a man accused of shooting and injuring a police dog during a standoff with Delano Police is scheduled to be arraigned in court today. 34-year-old Eduardo Figueroa is charged with multiple felonies in connection with the New Year's Day shooting. Figueroa was shot by police after allegedly opening fire on a police dog named Axel. Court documents state Figueroa admitted to shooting the dog because he thought he'd get bit. Figueroa has a lengthy criminal record and multiple felony convictions and is documented as a self-admitted gang member.
KGET Business Watch is brought to you by Grapevine MSP Technology Services, the Valley's leading IT service provider.
Welcome back in your 17 Business Watch. Gas prices are dipping a bit lower, although that could just be temporary. The average price for regular gas dropped 2 cents over the past 3 weeks to $3.39 a gallon. That's still more than $1 higher than a year ago. Analysts say prices could start going up again as crude oil costs continue to rise.
A popular chocolate treat is making a comeback. The Oreo Cakesters from 2007 are returning with some special marketing this week. To promote the product, America's last blockbuster video store in Bend, Oregon will have their shelves loaded with the snack. The company says there's no better way to celebrate the snack than with a visit to another retro classic. You can find the Cakesters at local stores later this week.
A farmer in Turkey has a high-tech way to keep his dairy cows happy while they're stuck inside for the winter. He has fitted the animals with virtual reality headsets that make them think they're outside on a warm, sunny day. Photos of the experiment are going viral online, with Twitter users drawing connections to the Matrix films. Apparently, the cows are happier, so he says. How do you measure that? And even producing more milk. The farmer had originally tried playing classical music for his cows, but he says the dairy cows seem to like the virtual reality even more, and he's planning on buying 10 more headsets. I guess just we have no words.
Look at it.
It's just, it kind of looks like I don't know. Is it mean? I don't know. And also I feel like, can you really trick a cow into thinking that they're outside and it's a sunny, warm day?
This is either happier.
Yeah. Anyway.
That looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh,
really does.
man. Oh, boy. That's something to see on a Monday morning.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.